Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to discuss movies and horror. And today I'm here to talk to you about a new release called Cobweb.
It's coffee time!
I had been really intrigued about this movie and I had been really excited to finally check it out. I know it's a movie that sadly it's not currently available in a lot of different places, so it might not be so easy for you to get access to the film, but I did watch it and I wanted to let you guys know my thoughts on it, and we're here to talk about it today. As always, spoiler free. This is an American supernatural horror thriller film directed by Samuel Bodin, and this is his feature film debut, and you might know him because he did direct a TV show on Netflix called Marianne, and this is a French, I think it was just one season that they released and it was like a horror TV show. Unfortunately, as I've mentioned before, this movie seems it didn't get really an international release, so it has not been really shown in many countries or many theaters, and we're all kind of waiting for it to go into VOD so that everybody can enjoy it. But lucky for me, I was able to watch it and I'm here to let you know what I thought so that you can be ready for when the movie finally hits VOD. Peter is 8 years old and is plagued by a mysterious constant tap from inside his bedroom wall, a tapping that his parents insist is all in his imagination. As Peter's fear intensifies, he believes that his parents could be hiding a terrible, dangerous secret and questions their trust. And for a child, what could be more frightening than that? Peter is an 8-year-old boy and he is struggling. He is being bullied at school, and on top of that, he doesn't really have the best relationship with his parents. He seems to be hearing voices and a tapping that comes from inside of his bedroom wall. He has told his parents, but the parents obviously don't believe the children, like they never do in horror movies. And he's struggling, he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't know why he's hearing these things. And for a kid, not being able to trust your parents, not being able to feel safe at night, it is the worst nightmare. That 8-year-old Peter is basically the main character in the story, which is always a little bit risky when you put kids as kind of the main character. But I do feel like this kid worked really well for a horror movie. You have also that kind of evil that we don't know where it's coming from, but it seems to be coming from for Peter. Is it trying to help him? Is it trying to hurt him? It's kind of like movies similar to, you know, The Boogeyman, or like an evil tooth fairy, like something that comes in the middle of the night only to the kid's bedroom. But when you think you're gonna enter those kind of stereotypical movies, this film takes a turn and becomes something completely different. And apart from Peter, you have the parents, which are really weird. They were acting really sketchy and you don't know exactly what's going on with them. So it's a movie where you kind of question everyone on screen and their purposes. The movie has a very slow pacing, especially at the beginning, and part of it is because they don't give you much of an explanation about what's going on or why these things are happening. So you're basically just thrown in there, and you know, at the beginning, I was completely on board, but at some point I started to question everything and I didn't understand quite the purpose of the movie. It is only when you get to the third act that actually all hell breaks loose, and that's where my favorite part came. But for the majority of the movie, like for the first act and part of Act 2, it's all about these weird characters, these weird house. You don't know what's going on, you're questioning everything. And as a viewer, you're just trying to figure out what's going on. We also do not have much dialogue, so it doesn't help to get you into the mood, into the story, because there is no introduction, so you are quite lost. So if you start watching the movie and you're confused and you don't know what type of subgenre of horror this is gonna morph into, that's completely normal because that's how I felt. I do believe this movie had a lot of potential and I do love the main story that will be revealed later on. But I think that with the characters, the problem that we have is that they are not strong enough as characters by themselves, and they don't really stand out. There is also little subplots that are introduced and I thought were really interesting, like a mystery, something that happened during Halloween that is never truly resolved, and they don't really return to that. So I was sad to see that some of these subplots that I thought were interesting were left unresolved. So I think that my biggest issue with the movie was the storytelling, because we don't get, like I said, any introduction at the beginning of the story or what's going on, and you already feel so lost that it doesn't help to engage the audience. So I think that for me the story was quite messy, but I did enjoy the visuals, I did enjoy the cinematography. It was nothing new and fresh and exciting, but I did enjoy it. I like the colors. They kind of stay on a more cold color palette, which I thought was fitting for the movie. And that cinematography also really helps when it comes to the horror, because it does give you the impression that you're trapped in this house. It does make you feel claustrophobic. There is a good amount of like good scares in the movie. I did think that the scares were effective. But it was almost like this movie was trying to be a dark fairy tale. The core horror story is based on something that happened in Halloween, and even though you get some Halloween visuals like pumpkins and stuff, I think that they could have pushed it further and made it more of a Halloween movie. And because it does mention Halloween and you have the pumpkins and all of that, I feel like this movie would be perfect if you want to watch a new movie for this Halloween season. I'm not sure when this is gonna come out on VOD, but probably by October it's gonna be out, and then it is one of those movies that I would say it's good to watch during Halloween season. And even though the movie had a very slow pacing, for me it did pay off in the third act. I did enjoy the horror that we got to see. I enjoyed the reveal of this evil. I enjoyed the reveal of whatever is going on with that wall. That really worked for me, but I can also see why it might not work for everybody. The movie is mostly playing with ambiguities. It's kind of playing with what do you believe is going on? Is Peter really hearing these voices? Is he hallucinating? Is it true? Is it not true? Is it something supernatural? What's going on? So it plays a lot with the creating that doubt on the viewer. So for the most part, it's kind of like a psychological game until you get to the reveal and you understand what's actually going on in this movie. But as I said, the horror did work for me, and this is a horror movie, so when it comes to the horror, I did enjoy it. I gave this movie a 3 out of 5 because even though it was a movie that was flawed and it was not as great as I had hoped, I think the horror really worked, and even though we didn't get anything fresh or new, the atmosphere, the creepiness, and the guessing game of what's going on did keep me entertained. I think if you're just looking for a fun, scary horror movie for Halloween, this is gonna work really well, but don't expect anything, you know, extraordinary or super new. But for me, it was a solid watch. I think because I personally really enjoyed the reveal of that evil, of the horror, of whatever is happening with that wall. Because I did enjoy that so much, I think it's what I gave it 3 out of 5. I think if the horror would not have been all the way there for me in the third act, I would have dropped this down to 2 out of 5. But, you know, I still enjoy this movie. There was something about it, there was a vibe about it of me feeling like weird and unsettled about everything and everything being so odd that I kind of enjoyed. So I think this is going to be a movie that you're either gonna really enjoy or not, depending on the things that you love. So this is not one that I would say might be for everybody. But latest, when Halloween comes around, if this is somewhere available to you in VOD, please give it a watch. Alright you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this spoiler-free review of Cobweb. Let me know down below if you have had access to the movie, if you're planning on watching it. Let's talk about it in the comments. Thank you guys, as always, so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!